let the little ones go ahead and go to their places. So those who are helping take care of the little ones, lead them to their closet, the room in there. As they're walking out, I'll go ahead and mention of course, those of us who were here last night, we know we're off to a wonderful start. Some great material presented by Brother Colley last night. I won't reintroduce him for those who were here last night, but most of us are familiar with Brother Colley and are familiar with some of his speaking, writing, television work on the Gospel Broadcasting Network, and so forth. And so we are excited to have him here. As I mentioned, author of a number of different books, even some DVDs he and or Sister Colley have done. And a lot of those are back there that he's brought with him. And so you can take a look at those. But I don't want to take any more of his time because I want to hear what you got to say. Come speak to us, Brother Glenn.
There we go. Good morning, everybody. May I tell you how happy I am to see you here. And we have some preliminary things we want to do. I told Chad last night. No, I'm good. Thank you. That I talked to Ezra. Ezra is the new baby, our new grandson, and that I had held him just before I came here, and I'd put him up to my ear, and he had whispered to me, "You're my favorite." And so last night I got Cindy, my wife, on the phone, and she said, "Do you know where I am?" And no, I don't. I'm at the hospital, and Ezra is asleep on my chest. And she was real happy. And she said, "And there's something I need to tell you." "Well, good. What is it?" She said, "I'm his favorite." So I didn't tell her what he had said to me, and let's just keep that between us because I don't want to hurt her feelings. Anyway, I'm glad to see you here. This is how that's going to go this morning. We're going to have 3 sessions. The first one's going to be how to love a wife. The second will be how to love a husband. And then we're going to talk about what I think is one of the most critical decisions you can make about raising your kids. And then we'll have lunch, and we're going to do Q&A. If you were not here last night and you are a wife, would you raise your hand? I want to give you a piece of paper. Let's see. Good. Now, I don't want you to let your husband see this. I want you to fill that out for me, please. But it's to be confidential. Don't put your name on it. Don't need a name. Anybody else? Also, we have some blank pieces of paper up here for Q&A, and some have turned those in. It doesn't matter when you do it. Thank you. But I'd like for you to either put a question on the paper or a piece of advice that you would give to other couples. And let's see. I thought there was some more white paper, but there'll be some more paper around to do that. You can write on anything and do that. All right, let's get started. All right, isn't he handsome? Let's talk about how to love a wife. The old book says in Ephesians chapter 5 that husbands are to love their wives even as Christ also loved the church. And it says there that a husband is to love his wife as his own body, that he's to nourish and cherish her. Now, to nourish means it's the idea of wrapping your arms around, to care for and to provide for and to see to. And cherish is sort of similar to that, only it means to warm with body heat. So it means that you're going to be her provider, her protector, and you're going to love her. And again, the Bible says there in that same passage that you're to love her like Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. The extent to which I'm to love my wife is simply that I'm to love her enough to die for her. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And 1 Peter chapter 3 talks about this same kind of thing, and it says that the husband is to give honor unto the wife, this is verse 7, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. I'm to honor my wife. Now you do have this teaching in the Scriptures about male leadership, but it's counterbalanced by the fact that as a husband, I'm to love her as Christ loved the church. I'm to love her as my own body. Now, what's very interesting to me is 1 Peter 3 and verse 7 says that husbands are to dwell with their wives according to knowledge. Now, think about that. I think that there are some kinds of affection that we have as a matter of instinct. That's not what this is about. This is a different thing. This is according to knowledge. I mean, when I was a teenager, I can remember that I wanted to get married someday. I never, ever considered that I wanted to marry anybody but a woman. But I can tell you this, I really wanted me a woman. I wanted my own woman. I wanted to get married. Now that's a natural affection. I didn't really make a decision. I don't remember making any kind of decision about that. That was instinctive in me. When Caleb, our firstborn, came into the world, you know what, I was in the room when both of my children were born. My father thought that was rather strange, you know. In his generation, they didn't do that. In his generation, in fact, it was prohibited, you know, in my father's generation. So my grandfather and my father stayed in the waiting room when I was about to be born, and they did the pacing thing, you know, until somebody came out and wrote on a blackboard, "Collie boy," you know, and then that's how they found out that I had been born. But not so in mine. Now, in my generation, we figured out that it was a wonderful thing, you know, to be there. And do you know who held my babies first after the doctor, you know, did his thing, and then he gave the baby to the nurse, and she did a kind of a cleanup thing and wrapped in swaddling clothes, and then, but it was me. I held the baby first. That was smart. They loved me the best. But what I say to you is that nobody had to say to me, "Glenn, I want you to love your new son." Nobody had to say that. I mean, you know, and most of you are parents. You know what I'm talking about here. A couple of days ago, I held Ezra, my first grandson, for the first time. There was a moment when I touched him for the first time. And you know what grandparents say. Grandparents are all a little bit silly. We are silly. But I tell you what, there's a magic. I mean it. There's some magic. There's a euphoria that just waves over you when you hold your grandchild for the first time. I'm just telling you, it's true. And it isn't, I mean, that's a beautiful baby, but all babies are beautiful. I know that. It's not just that. It's that this baby is some of you. There's a connection, there's an electric connection that exists there. But the point I want to make is that nobody had to teach me that. That wasn't something that I learned, nor did I actually make a decision. I think I'm going to love this baby. That's instinctive, right? An instinctive love. Now, the affection, dwell with them according to knowledge, in 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 7, is not about instinct, it's about knowledge. And would you just allow me to draw a distinction between the two? So I'm going to talk about how to love a wife today. This is not about intimacy. It's about something that is different from that. It's affection. It's a funny thing, I think, when people get married, that both husband and wife, both the man and the woman, in their minds have the idea about showing affection. Both of them want to show affection to the other. The interesting thing is that they may be thinking about two rather different things. And so this is not about how to love a man. This one's about how to love a woman. And the first one, I'm going to give you 5 categories. How to love a wife. The first one is the Cary Grant category. What we're going to do is to learn about showing affection to a wife. But gentlemen, I'm not going to try to teach you male language. I want to teach you female language. I want to teach how to love a woman in a way that she understands it. Because it's not all the same. We don't think the same way. I'm rather glad about that. I never did want to marry a man. I always wanted to marry a woman. They're different. I like that difference. All right, the Cary Grant category. This is the kind of thing that I think that you would naturally think about. So I'm going to start off with this one. The Cary Grant category are those romantic things that somebody said, one of the women here said to me last night, we still go on dates. I think that's terrific. They've been married a long time. I think that's terrific. That's good. And she said, it keeps the spark alive. Right. I think that's great. Well, the Cary Grant category would be like that. Cary Grant category is that you buy her little gifts sometimes. Sometimes I make this mistake. We're in a store together, and Mrs. Collies looks at a scarf or a candle or something that she has a Pandora bracelet. A bracelet, that's the name of it. Maybe you ladies know about that. And it has little beads on it. Well, she likes that sort of thing. And so sometimes she'll say, oh, I love that one. Isn't that? You know what? I make this mistake. I'll say, well, honey, if you like it, buy it. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. The smarter thing to do in the Cary Grant category would be to say, oh, yes, isn't that pretty? I like that, dear. I really like that. But then as you're walking off, you're thinking, third rack, second column, it's the blue one. And then the next day, you get off your lunch break, go on over to that store and buy that. If it's something you can afford for her, buy it for her. Now here's the next thing. You buy her a little gift like that, be sure that you don't give it to her in the sack. I want you to wrap it. And the reason is that all of this is tied to communicating something. What you want to communicate is, honey, you are inside of me. That's what she needs to know. This is all about loving her according to knowledge. It's about learning how to affirm her. And these things will communicate that. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, Glenn, that's real good, but I'm no good at rapping. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Because it's about the fact that you did it. It's about the fact that you thought about this. Now, let me give you a couple of things. I maybe should have said them a while ago, but about all of these things, there are two big deals that you got to get. And the first one is that in reference to all of these ideas, you got to think of them. All right? So don't say, I'm doing this because I learned this from Glenn. You expand on these things. It's got to be something that's from you. You think of it. And the second thing is, and this one's tough, believe me, it's true. For every romantic, and I'm calling these things romantic things, for every kind gesture that you extend to your wife, you get 1 point. That's important because it's tied to a need inside of her. So, what you think, she might say to you, why don't you do any romantic things for me anymore? What? What are you talking about? Remember last June it was your birthday and I took you to Olive Garden and I bought you that ring? What you're thinking is, that ring cost me $150. I don't because what you're thinking is, I got 30 points for that. I'm still using on those 30 points. That's not right. She loved what you did, but everything gets 1 point. Every gesture of kindness gets 1 point. And the reason is that it's tied to affirmation. It's tied to an affection which she needs. Now, of course, every woman is different. Aren't you thankful for that? Your woman, your wife is unique from all other women. That's a wonderful reality. And so you're going to have to custom fit all of this to her. But, gentlemen, you didn't wake up one morning and say, I think I'm going to need frequent intimacy with my wife. That's something that God wired you with. But I would say likewise that your wife didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to need frequent affirmation of my husband's affection and love. She needs to know that. She needs to hear that. And if you want music in your marriage, this is something you're going to have to do. Again, I know it's got to be custom fitted to your wife, and I know some wives like some things better than other things and all of that sort of thing, but you've just got to do it. Now, some more ideas. Flowers. Oh, flowers. Now, most women really like flowers. Not like men. I mean, I like flowers. I think they're pretty and they smell like a funeral and all that, but I buy them. It's okay with me if Cindy never brings me flowers the rest of my life. I'm okay with that. That's okay. But I can stop by Walmart and for, $7 or something, I can pick up a fistful of flowers and take them to her. And and there's something in her eyes that I like. She'll take, oh, Glenn, they're beautiful, and she'll give me a kiss, and then she'll go put them in a vase on the dining room table, and she'll play with them, you know, and they'll be beautiful, and you know, I like that. You need to bring her flowers. I heard of a man one time who would sneak into his wife's bathroom when she was taking a shower, and he wouldn't disturb her, but he would take her towel off the rack and go put it in the dryer for 3 or 4 minutes, and then just replace it and go away, you know, so that when she reached for it, it was hot. You know. And that's the Cary Grant category. The Cary Grant category would include writing her notes. Most women love that. Now, sentimental notes. Get you a sticky pad and put notes around about that you love her. Say kind things about her. Send her emails or texts or Facebook. Be real careful about Facebook. If you put that message in the wrong place, the world will read it. I know that. Okay, there's a caution for you. Send her sentimental and kind notes, and she will appreciate that. Take her out. How long has it been since you took your wife out on a real date? Now, by real date, what I mean is that, and you know, you're married and so you eat together all the time. What's the difference? And well, the difference is that you ask her ahead of time. Ask her in advance. Would you go out with me on Thursday night? That makes it a date. And take her somewhere that is unusual, that you don't go don't go to McDonald's. That's where you eat all the time. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere. Make it kind of special. And what you're doing is communicating to her something that is very, very important. So anyway, you get the idea. This is the Cary Grant category. Now here's the second category. What am I doing wrong? I think I did that one, didn't I? There we go. Great. Okay, now we're going into the realm that we're less familiar with. The Mr. Clean category. I know that what you're thinking, gentlemen, is I thought we were talking about ways to show romantic interest or kindness to my wife in a way that she will get it. What we want to do is talk in her language, all right? I'm just going to say it in a plain, frank way. Your wife interprets help around the house as a romantic gesture. Is that strange or what? I'm telling you, she doesn't think like you. She does not. But I'm also saying that if you really want to show the affection to your wife in a language, a way that she will understand it, you're going to have to include one of these, or this one on the category, on the list. Now, what I try to do, I'm not setting myself up as the perfect example, but my wife Cindy and I have a good bit of company. We have folks in pretty often, and she sees that house as an extension of her. I rather like that. And when we're going to have company, she wants to clean that place, that house, in places that nobody ever is going to look. I mean, she really wants to clean that house. And so what I try to do is to come home from work a couple hours early and put on my blue jeans, and I say, honey, I am your slave for 2 hours. Give me the hard stuff. And she'll always respond the same way, always does. She'll say, do you mean it? Yeah, I mean it. And she'll do that, and she'll say, will you clean the bathrooms? Sure, I'll clean the bathrooms. Now, see, I don't do that very often, but I'm good at it. I mean, I'm really good at it. I get chemicals and brushes and all the stuff and I scrub those, man, I make those things spit. And then I finish, and I'll go to her and I'll say, well, baby, you still got 1 hour and 35 minutes. Do you mean it? Sure, I mean it. And she'll say, will you vacuum? Well, yeah, I'll vacuum. Look, you find times, the way this works the best, I probably shouldn't talk about this with the women present, but gentlemen, find times to surprise your wife with the doing of housework. I know that it's her primary responsibility. But when you do this, when you help her without her knowledge, just do it. When she comes home, suddenly the beds are all made and the dusting is done, or the dishwasher is all emptied out and the dishes are put, or whatever it happens to be. The refrigerator, you've cleaned it out and it's all spick. It looks wonderful, whatever it happens to be. What I'm telling you, you already knew that she would like that. That's not the point I'm making. What I'm saying to you is that your wife will view that as a romantic gesture. All right? That's the Mr. Clean category. Here's the next one. The Santa Claus category. This one may seem self-evident, but I'm telling you in some marriages it's not. It's that, sir, you must remember all the important dates. You can't let this slip. Now, Christmas is easy. They play all that music on the radio, that kind of reminds you. That one's not hard. But what about Valentine's Day? How you doing on that? What about birthday? You can't let that go by. Anniversary, how you doing on that one? Now, I know you're busy. I know your schedule is heavy, but I'm saying to you, you can't forget these things because in most women, I'm telling you, they watch for this. And I suppose we do too. My birthday comes along. I'd kind of like for her to remember my birthday. I'd appreciate that. I have some friends in Alabama, not where I live, but at a different town, and Bob and Sarah, they're wonderful people, and he's a deacon in the church, longtime deacon, faithful. And a few years ago, this is what happened. It was her birthday. It was Sarah's birthday. And she got up early and she fixed his breakfast, and he was rushing around getting ready for work, and she was humming and singing, and she was happy because it was her birthday, and she couldn't wait to see what he was going to give her. And the truth is that he forgot. I mean, his mind was completely vacuumed of anything about her birthday. He was headed to work. That's all that was going on. But anyway, he came down and she was happy, and he gave her a little kiss, and he went out to the truck. He was loading some tools, and he looked under the seat for some reason, and there was a Hallmark greeting card under there. It was a Christmas card from last Christmas to Sarah, which he had forgotten to give her. So this was fun, and he took it in and said, "Hey, I got you a Christmas present." Well, what she thought, she thought he was joking and that this was her birthday present, and she opened it up, and the dope it was Christmas. It was from last Christmas. It had nothing to do with birthday. She gradually starts to realize that he's forgotten, and then her feathers drop. She can't believe it, but he gives her a little peck, and he gets in the truck and he goes to work. Well, it's Wednesday, and so there's Bible study that night, and he comes back and he picks her up, and they go to Bible study. And on the way home, he says, "I need to stop at Walmart." And he goes in and he buys a tackle box. And when he comes out to the truck, he pitches it in the truck, and he says, "Well, I bought myself a birthday present." At which time Sarah said, and this really happened, I'm not making it up, "Bob, it's not your birthday. It's mine." Oh, it's the end of the day. There's no, gentlemen, I don't know how you get past that. But and they're still married, I'm happy to say, and everything seems okay, but a few years have passed. What I want you to do is find you a way that you don't forget these. I know a wife right now and a husband. They're lovely people. They're Christians and delightful people. But he wasn't raised to pay attention to holidays. He wasn't. And so to him, this is frivolous. Christmas comes, and he's okay with people doing Christmas and giving presents, but he doesn't give her anything. She will give him something, but he just doesn't see the point in all of that. Now, maybe you were raised that way, but I want you to understand something, is that your wife will be living in a culture of people where the women get birthday presents, and they get Valentine's flowers or candy, and they get anniversary that their husband, she lives in a culture where women are going to talk about, "Let me tell you what my husband got me for my anniversary. He's so sweet. What a man. I love that." And if you're not paying attention to that, I'm just saying that you will create pain. What I want to say is that the Bible says to dwell with your wife according to knowledge. That means, in my mind, learning something. It's not something you get instinctively. It's something that you have learned. Why is that important? And it's important because a man doesn't define affection the same way a woman does. I want you to see it her way in order that you can get this right. Now here's the next one. The Michael Bolton category. How do you like those eyes right there? Ooh, it sends chills over me. The Michael Bolton category is not very complicated. Michael Bolton, there's more than one Michael Bolton. I'm thinking about the singer who sang When a Man Loves a Woman. And anyway, I just put that up to make you remember it. The Michael Bolton category is this. You must never criticize your wife in front of other people. Never do it. And the reason is the same reason that I didn't spank my children the same way my grandfather spanked my father. My grandfather used a razor strap, and I don't think there were ever any bruises or anything, but I never did do that. And the reason is that I don't know how much punishment I'm exacting out if I use something like that. So I always spanked my children with my hand. I knew exactly what I was giving them when I spanked them with my hand. Same thing is true about criticizing your wife in front of other people. It's broad, and you don't know what kind of hurt you're bringing on with that kind of a remark or kind of a statement. I don't like for husbands to criticize their wife even in a teasing way unless they do it very gently. You know, you could be with another couple and you're having supper at their house and you say, "Oh, these biscuits are wonderful. My wife's biscuits are so hard you could build them." You know, and everybody kind of chuckles, but it's a joke at her expense. I want you to use real caution about that. If you do tease her or poke a little fun, make sure that you do it in a gentle way, and then you give her some sweetness after it. Here's what I want to suggest. If you want to really be smart, not only will you not criticize her in front of other people, but if you really are smart, what you're going to do is to find things that you can compliment about your wife in front of other people. I mean, this is wonderful. And you don't have to use too much imagination on this one, gentlemen, because how does it feel if your wife compliments you in front of other people? I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, maybe you're with some other folks and this other couple, and he likes to do some woodworking, and your wife says, "Oh, you know what? My husband, he likes to do woodworking too, and he built 2 or 3 things. I don't know how he does it. He does amazing things with wood. I think he can do just about anything." Now, what you're going to say with your mouth is, oh, go on. What you're saying in your heart is, "Wow, that felt good. I like that. I like the fact that she likes me, that she admires me, and that she tells other people about that." My point is, gentlemen, that you can figure this one out easily. Don't criticize your wife in front of other people. Just don't do that. You don't know, you can't see where those little darts are going. Don't do that. Instead, find ways that you can compliment her, and you're going to help find music in your marriage. Okay, here's number 5. The Superman category. How do you like that picture? That's me. The Superman category. Now, this one's pretty simple. This one's just this. Gentlemen, there are going to come times in your marriage, there already have come these times, when your wife is going to need you. She's going to need your help for something she's not strong enough to do, something she's incapable for whatever reason. She needs a man to do this. And the Superman category is about your attitude when she reaches out. I love it when Mrs. Colley brings me a jar that she can't open. That makes me feel good. Glenn, could you open this for me? Because she can't open it. I love it especially when I can open it. And I try to do it without grunting too much. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, thank you. That makes me feel good. Cindy and I were walking together. We live in a neighborhood where we can walk, and we have this 2-mile trek that we like to do together. And one day we were walking along together and visiting, talking. Well, one of my neighbors let his dog out, and he didn't see us where we were walking, but the dog was very territorial. And so, that dog came running. He was going to get us. He was running like crazy right at us, barking like crazy as if we were some threat. I don't speak dog, but he was saying some bad stuff, and yonder he came. Well, instinctively, I just got in front of Cindy, and whatever was about to happen, it was going to do to me first. I didn't even think about that because that's what men do. Well, just before he got to me, the owner saw him and shouted, and the dog stopped and pivoted and went back. Well, I was real glad about that. And so we resumed our walk, and Cindy said, "Glenn, you were wonderful." She said, "That was so brave. You got right in front of that, between me and that dog, and that was really wonderful." I said, "Well, it was nothing, baby." The Superman category is that there are times, but now sometimes it's going to be a challenge to you. Now, I use those illustrations, but let me give you an illustration that may come closer to home. There's going to be a day when your wife calls you on the phone and you're at work and you're real busy, and she's going to say, "Honey, I locked my keys in the car again." Now, sir, you have two choices. One of them, well, neither of them is, are you going to go unlock the car? You're going to go unlock the car, all right? That's going to happen. But you have two choices, and one of them is to react like this. "I can't believe you did this again. Didn't I tell you last time you did this, I told you to take a key and hide it in your and put it somewhere where you could find it, and now, you know what, I've got a client. I can't come right now. I'm going to be at least 20 minutes before I can leave. What store are you at?" "Target? You mean the one on the other side of town? Oh, that's going to take forever." And you get there, and you're all in a stir, and she may be crying a little bit. "I'm sorry, I know how busy you are, I'm so sorry." And you unlock it, and you say, "I got to go back to work. See you later." But look, you can do it that way, but when you get home that night, how are things going to be? Okay, I don't know how much you paid to come to this seminar, but it was worth it for this one, just for this. The second way to react, you may in your heart feel a little frustration when you get that call. Take a deep breath and realize that you've stepped into the Superman category. She needs you. She's reaching out. I declare, if Mrs. Colley needs to reach out for somebody to help her, I hope she will always reach for my hand first. Are we communicating? And so she calls you on the phone and she says that thing about locking her keys in the car. The second way that you could react is to say, "Honey, I tell you what, let me finish with this client. I'll be there as quick as I can. Where are you? All right. Do you need to go in the store where you can be safer? I don't want you to be in any danger. I'll be there as quick as I can." And when you get there, she's going to apologize. "Honey, I'm sorry that I did that. Oh, I locked the keys, and you told me to put a key somewhere else, but I forgot. I'm so sorry." It's okay. Everybody's done this sometime. It's okay. And then if you're a real smart gentleman, you say, "You know what? I can take an extra 15. You want a cup of coffee?" Now you go home that night. How are things then? Now, I'm telling you, in both cases, you had to unlock the door. You were going to do that. The Superman category is where when she needs you, you come to her aid and you do it without making her feel inferior or foolish or whatever. You show her kindness. Parenthetically, may I say to you that there are times when you're going to do something like that and you're going to need her help. I want you to treat her the way you'd like to be treated. What about this one? Here's a man that he's at work, and he has an SUV and one of those lawnmower trailers, the two-wheel tilt trailer. And that's a great thing, but backing a two-wheel trailer, that's an art right there. It takes a lot of practice to do. So he drove that thing to work one day because he had to drop off the lawnmower. The wife calls middle of the morning and says, "I need the SUV." "Oh, well, honey, I've got it here, but now the trailer is behind it." No, I'm in a big hurry. "That's okay. I don't mind that the trailer's behind it." And so there she comes, and he says, "Why don't you let me back the trailer for you?" No, I can do it, but I'm in a big hurry. I've got to go. And he says, "Okay, but that's hard to do." No, I'm in a hurry. Got to go. And so she goes, and he watches. And she, in her mind, backing a two-wheel trailer, you just keep the steering wheel straight and the trailer will go straight. That's how that works, obviously. But of course, that's not true. And so she jackknifes the trailer and boom, cuts a gash in the side of the SUV. And so he's watching. Now, gentlemen, you have two choices. One of them isn't, are you going to pay the money to have the vehicle repaired? That money is spent. That's happened. That ship has sailed. You have two choices, and one of them is that you could go down there and say, I don't know why you're so stubborn. I told you that was hard to do. And then you know what you got to do? You just go headstrong into something, and now this is going to cost $300. And we could use that money for something else. And why are you always this? Well, you could do that. You could do that. And so you get home that night, and how's it going to be? It may take you several days for you and your spouse to get over that, to get past that, because of, and even if you apologize, you could apologize later, but sometimes words are very cutting. Your second choice is that you see it happen, you have this moment of frustration, you take a deep breath, you go down there and say, are you okay? Oh, I'm so sorry, look what I did. Look at I didn't mean to do that, and you told me, and look now what I did. It's okay, you know what? Everybody has accidents. It was just an accident. I'm glad you're all right, and it's not a big deal. It's okay. We'll fix it. Come here and give me a hug. You know what? The end of the day, what has happened is that you have had a moment when you could have come down hard on her, and you didn't do it. And it was an accident. She didn't mean to do that. It was an accident, and you have accidents too. She didn't mean it, and you had a moment when you could have let her have it, but you didn't do it. You know what that is? That's the Superman category. The Superman category is that there are going to be moments, and you know this because you've been married for a little while. There are moments when she's going to need your help, and she's going to reach out for your hand. And how you react to that is part of this discussion on dwelling with your wives according to knowledge, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. All right, those are the five categories. Now, I asked last night, some of these were turned in this morning, and that's fine. I haven't read a single one of these, all right? But the question that your wife was asked is this: in the last couple of weeks, what's the most romantic thing that your husband has done for you? I do not do this for the men because it would be mono-themed. Okay, I'm waiting for y'all to get that. It's not a joke, that's true. All right? Because when you talk about romance to a man, it's just different. But what I want to do is to show, I want all of the men to leave today with an appreciation for how that your wife is different from you, not just physically, but in reference to how you show romance. And I want us to learn how to communicate to her in a way that she'll understand it, in a way that really communicates affection to her. Now, bear in mind that this is a command of God. I don't mean these details that I played out today, but Ephesians chapter 5 says that you're to love your wife as yourself. He that loves his wife loves himself. Do you know the significance of that is you ought to do yourself a favor and show love to your wife in the ways that she understands it. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Show her affection in the way that she'll get it. Now let's go through these. I haven't looked at a single one. The last 2 weeks, most romantic thing, he took care of me when I fell and hurt myself. Superman. Every morning, he holds me before we get up and tells me how wonderful I feel in his arms. Good. He watched the kids so I can go to a girls' night. He cleaned the toilet for me. Now, she put a happy face beside that. I've read 4. There may be something about sex in here. Sometimes I like to do this experiment, but it's extremely rare for there to be anything about sex. They're anonymous, no names. And I'm saying that this lady, whoever it is that wrote, he cleaned the toilet for me, I'm telling you that she means that. She's not making fun. He surprised us with a day trip for lunch and mall and shopping. Wow. And I'm telling you something, shopping's a real sacrifice for a man. It is not in his nature. He gave me a massage. He left me a note before work in the morning telling me to have a good day and that he loves me. He also had my breakfast and lunch packed. He told me I was pretty. Now, guys, I take this to mean that she loves him and that this is very genuine. But what I asked her was, in the last 2 weeks, what's the most romantic thing your husband has done? And so she combs through her mind over the last days, and what she remembers is that he complimented her. There was just this moment when he said, honey, you're pretty. And okay, you know what? We've got to learn this lesson, gentlemen. We've got to figure this out. He shows me love every day. And then she did a little exclamation point, and the bottom has a heart, which is very feminine. He planned a short trip for the two of us. I like that. Most romantic thing. He found out helping out with the kids was more important to me. Oh, I love this. And on his own, he started getting up earlier and getting the kids ready and taking them to school for me. He's done it every day since. The most romantic thing. This is fun. I think this is fun. This girl says, I adore my husband, so of course I think everything he does is romantic. Sir, you're a lucky man. I haven't received flowers in the past 2 weeks. Now remember, I think just two of these were turned in today. Most of these were turned in last night. This one's in the middle of the stack, so this was last night. Nobody has heard this lecture until, so these were filled out before the session. I haven't received flowers in the past 2 weeks, but he has been completely romantic by loading the dishwasher, taking out the trash, cooking supper, tucking in the children at night. I could go on and on. I am blessed. And then she did the little happy face. Are we learning something here? Are we learning something? Okay, here we go. He sent me flowers. Most romantic thing, last 2 weeks. He cooked lunch yesterday. Most romantic thing, last 2 weeks. He thanked me for giving him a son because I pushed for adoption. Next. Oh, this is good. Last 2 weeks, most romantic thing, coming to this seminar, which, by the way, is a very romantic thing, to say, I love you and I want us to make our marriage even better. He opened my car door. That's what I'm talking about. I would put that in the Cary Grant category, wouldn't you? Okay. Foot massage. He swept me off my feet to give me a hug. I like that. He sent me flowers for our anniversary. Okay. Now, gentlemen, where's the sex? See, this is not to say that your wife doesn't enjoy intimacy with you. That is not what this says. She does. It's just to say that she doesn't think the way you do. She's different, and she doesn't define affection the way that you do. And the important thing to find the music in your marriage is for you and me as men to start doing this with our minds. What is it? Just because it doesn't make sense to me, just because I wouldn't register this as being romantic, does not mean she does not. And let me learn to see this through her eyes. Let's pray. Thank you, Father, for giving us our wives. We don't deserve them, and we need them, and we're so grateful. And help us as husbands to communicate affection to our wives in the way that they understand it. Help us to be good men. Help us to be good husbands. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, let's take a break for about 10 minutes, and we'll start with the second session, top of the hour, How to Love a Husband.